Welcome everyone. This is not your standard Ice Strike video. In this video we're going to show you how to get Ice Strike working on an Infernalist of all things. So I want to highlight straight off the bat that this isn't so much a build guide as it is a showcase or a proof of concept. Full credit goes to Skyra with Zizaran and Sarge 2, where I source most of my information on regarding how the Ice Strike build works on the Invoker. And this is just my variant and spin on the build on how to get it to work on an Infernalist. So, I guess the intended audience really for this video is existing Infernalists. I wouldn't necessarily recommend starting this build from scratch as an Infernalist, but if you have an existing Infernalist and want to basically just try something different, have a bit of fun, all these Invokers running around exploding the screen, well, you can do it yourself now as well. So, why Infernalist and why does Infernalist work? Well, first and foremost, our starting area is right next door, so pathing through to the standard passive tree setup is not a massive investment. Secondly, and one of the key things is the build requires quite a bit of spirit. I think about 230, 235 to be exact in this setup. And one of the key benefits that the Invoker normally has as well is they can convert their body evasion rating, I believe, into spirit, while we can convert our max health. So we have a way of generating that spirit as well. Some other key benefits of the Ascendancy are we can go into low life due to combining the 3 max life conversions, which lead to a few benefits which I'll touch upon in a moment. It also synergizes well with crit-based builds, which this is, and for once we actually find a use for the Crown of Thorns for pain attunement, which gives us extra crit damage bonus while on low life, and this can lead to some pretty high numbers in terms of actual crit damage, 770%. And lastly, other key benefit of low life is our flasks. We can run the extra recovery on low life, and that combined with Eternal Youth allows us to recharge our energy shield very easily. The other benefits of picking up these Infernalist nodes are quite simply we get a bit of extra survivability from energy shield, and we also get a bit more mana, which the build is quite mana hungry, I believe, so 2 extra positives. Another small survivability bonus is Altered Flesh. Obviously these builds run no armor, so having the physical damage conversion to chaos provides a bit of extra survivability against physical damage as well. If you do manage to get a bit of extra max fire res, you do also reduce some of that cold and lightning damage. So in terms of the differences, pretty much everything from about this node onwards spanning out is your standard Invoker passive tree for a crit based Ice Strike build. So there's no real differences anywhere beyond that. All we're doing is taking this extra few steps of pathing. So that's all there really is to highlight in terms of the differences for the Infernalist in terms of the passive setup. Like I said, I just want to have a very quick showcase of how this is put together. For the full breakdown of everything else in terms of the standard Invoker setup and how the build is put together, I really want to give credit where credit is due to the aforementioned 2 videos that I talked about, which I'll link in the description. So please give them some views, likes, etc., and direct your traffic towards there for a deeper dive. But in terms of Infernalist, the key thing to highlight again, like I said, is simply we're pathing to this starting point as quickly as we possibly can. Gearing wise is where a little bit things change a little bit compared to the Invoker. We have 2 different options And they both gravitate around getting, as I said before, to that 235 spirit mark. So the first is to really lean on this node in terms of getting the conversion from max life, and that means basically stacking as much max life as possible to hit that break point. So where you can get this is you can get quite a high base value on your chest. I've got 194 here. This goes up beyond 200. Another good source is your amulet. Again, you can get a pretty high max life base roll as well as a percentage increase, coupled with life modifiers, quality. You can get quite a significant amount. Worth highlighting also, strength also converts to health, so getting a bit of strength can also help hit that threshold. Another place where you can get good value is through your rings coupled with ingenuity. Ingenuity helps quite a bit in terms of getting your resistances and all the other stats you want, because we do take up our helm slot with the unique as well as obviously running Hoa in the glove slot. But again, neither of these are actually required or mandatory, and in principle, this isn't mandatory either. We're just taking it to, I guess, get the synergy with the low life and that's the whole point of the build, really, just have a bit of fun of doing something different. The main things you really want to get is that spirit breakpoint, cap out your resistances, and that's all that's really important at the end of the day. The other option that you have, if getting the required amount of max life is a bit of a struggle, is to simply get a spirit roll on your chest, and that will alleviate and make it a hell of a lot easier. So I've got an alternate setup here where I then also have less max life on my amulet and just use it to get more resistances and energy shield and things like that. And likewise, less than max life on the ring. You can then get slightly more powerful rings with cold damage, rarity, etc. One thing I also forgot to highlight, you can also get, and I've actually used this to hit the 235 spirit threshold, in my case, is a corruption enchant on your helm on the Crown of Thorns. And at the moment, I think very few builds, if any, really use this helm, so they're dirt cheap. I got this, I think, for a handful of exalts, if that. And that pretty much covers it. The only other small point to highlight that you need to be wary of is with this helmet, you do lose life on every skill cast, and we are attacking quite quickly. So you do need a source of life regen or life leech. You can either get life leech on one of your rings or your staff, or in my case, I got lucky and got a pretty high life regen roll on my chest, and that pretty much counters the loss of life on the skill. You can't use your life flask, I should note, with Eternal Youth, because your Eternal Youth will direct your life flask to the energy shield. So you need some sort of other form of life regen to counteract that on the helm. The only other thing I'll highlight is, which is covered in the other videos, but I want to re-emphasize, since we are very heavily leaning on low life crit with pain attunement, you do really want to focus on getting a high critical damage bonus roll on your quarterstaff, because this raises the base value of the crit damage on which everything else scales off. So it has very high value when coupled with pain attunement. And that pretty much covers it. Like I said, I just wanted to do a very quick showcase and show some potential Infernalists out there, an alternate fun little build that you can put together rather than re-leveling an Invoker if you don't want to do that. If you found anything interesting in this video, please like and subscribe as always, helps out, and have a good day.